In our earlier class, we had seen how to make use of queue query parameter in Oracle Fusion REST API and filter the record based on the supplier ID. For demonstration purpose, I have considered this get all suppliers REST API in order to showcase how we can make use of all those query parameters and filter the data in the REST API response. In our previous class, we had seen how to filter the record based on the supplier name. That is, if we pass the q is equal to supplier is equal to z supplies, we will be seeing the details of only that particular supplier. Now, what if we want to filter not only based on the parent data, but rather based on the child resources? Like here, if I want to get the supplier whose supplier site ID is something, then how we can do that, we will see in this class. Now, before going ahead, let me show you this expand. So earlier we had seen that we were expanding the site information along with the supplier details, such that site information will be visible over here as it is shown in the documentation. That is, supplier is having supplier details apart from that addresses, attachment and the sites. So if you want to see the site information, we have to expand something like this. Now suppose if you want to put the query condition, that is, we want to get the supplier whose supplier site ID is something like this. Then how we can do is, we will go to this queue parameter. Here, either we can remove this or we can put the AND condition. We will tell we want to get the supplier whose name is Lee Supplies and also validate that whose site, that is, we have to mention the sites. This is the child resource name and the supplier site ID. Copy this and paste it over here is equal to the value. So it could be a site name as well, like Lee US1. Whatever is the use case, you can provide accordingly. For demonstration purpose, I will be giving this site ID. So this is how you can club multiple conditions, that is using AND clause. I am telling whose site dot supplier site ID is this one. I am clicking on send. Now here if you see, I am getting nothing, even though if we see in the expanded data, we are having the site information whose supplier site ID is this, and that is also for the same supplier, that is Lee Supplies. But here we are not getting the data. Now how to fix this is from the documentation. Now here if you see, in the request we are having query parameters, and if you just scroll down, there is this header parameters. We need to mention this header in our REST API call. Let me just put this over here. In the headers, if you see, I am under the headers, I will be putting the value as 4. So currently at the time of recording this class, Oracle Fusion supports those many versions, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So by default, if you don't specify any version, by default it will consider as version number 1. So it is the basic of all the version. It is used to process just the client request without any conditions. Since we have added over here the AND clause and we are telling drill down to sites and supplier site ID, this is not supported in REST framework version 1. So we are telling use REST framework version 4. So if you go ahead with more advanced versions, you will be having more and more features. So you can have a look at this documentation link. So as per your use case, you can provide the version. So in our case, the version number 4 will suffice. Suppose if you are using any latest thing or adding lot many conditions in your query parameter, then you can even go for the version number 9. So Oracle might add few more versions in the future, like version 10, so and so forth things, which will have much more features going ahead. We can have a look at this documentation to know what are the capabilities each version can do. Now I will click on send. So I have not selected this, just check mark this header. Also, if you want to verify, you can just switch over to the code view and you can see if our header is passing properly. Yes, our header is passing. Other way is you can check mark this and click on send. Now here if you see, we are getting the details, that is supplier whose name is Lee Supplies and whose supplier site ID is this. Okay, we are not getting the site information because we have not expanded. Suppose if you want to see the site information, then we can tell expand sites and click on send. So it will check the supplier whose name is Lee Supplies and site ID is this one, and also it will show the sites information. If you just scroll down, we are having this sites information. So like this, we can add the query parameter, which can add the conditions even for the child resources, and also we had seen how we can make use of AND clause. Similar like this, we can put the OR clause as well.